Welcome to the workshop.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 3 now of the podcast series. Myself and my buddy Matt are going through series called The Workshop, right?
Yeah.
But I want to give kind of a little update about, where we're at, what we're going to do. So this podcast, I know we said it before, it came from the idea of a blog that we've been running called Unqualified Information, where us, as unqualified individuals, speak on topics that people like us normally don't talk about. So that's called Unqualified Information. That's the blog post. But we want to call the podcast the Unqualified Experience, where we just talk and we ramble and we, think of things and topics that, again, we're unqualified to talk about, but we're going to go through just because that's the kind of community and platform we want to build. So just a little update here and kind of where we're going to move forward. If you listen to this and don't look at the blogs, you should do both because there's some really, really good stuff. We're bringing on some new people, and we're just gonna keep pumping out content. So yeah, there's that. But hey, man, what you been up to since last week?
This week's been pretty crazy. My little sister's moving back to college, and so we've been just like running around trying to prepare for the big move, and it's gonna be weird living at home for the first time ever by myself without I'll be with my parents, but the first time without any siblings. And
Yeah.
so, kind of excited. It's gonna be a good time for me.
Maybe a little bit more quiet.
Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. We have 3 dogs, and now I'm gonna be sole responsible for taking care of them while working, and so it's gonna be crazy, but I'm excited. It's that's pretty much it. What about you?
Yeah, well, it was a tough week of work. So I'm a project manager for this company, and I'm still in training mode. So I've been this week was full of calls with a bunch of different people telling me a bunch of different things to do about the same job, and it was exhausting. So I'm glad to take a little bit of break, hang out with you, and just do some talking to the computer.
Yeah, my favorite part. Just talking to the computer.
Yeah, we're just talking to the computer, man. So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
First week we did Bean of the Day,
Yeah.
which was fun. Second week we did the Chip of the Day, which made me even more hungry. But today we're gonna do a Candy of the Day, non-chocolate candy of the day. So your non-chocolate candy, you go to the gas station, you get one pick. What's it gonna be?
That one's tough because I like the Airhead Extremes, and I'm also a big fan of Sour Skittles. So both of those are probably it's either or. If I see it's whichever one I see first, I'm grabbing that one. But anytime I go to a movie theater, I know it's not a gas station, but anytime I go to a movie theater, I get Airhead Extremes. I don't know why, but every single time. I can't eat popcorn. I'm allergic to corn, and for some reason,
Which is tragic.
Popcorn just really messes up my throat, and so I can't eat popcorn. So what I get instead is 2 bags of Airhead Extremes.
Nice, nice, great for the teeth.
Yeah.
That's crazy because mine is the exact same answer: Sour Skittles or. Well, have you ever been to Buc-ee's?
Yeah.
Buc-ee's has a brand of Airhead Extremes that are way better. Way better.
Yeah.
They're called Sour Quattro, I think. They're the multicolored, just sour strips. And they are the best sour candy I've ever had in my life. When I go to Buc-ee's, whenever I go down to Texas, I go to Buc-ee's, I got 4 bags of those to last me, hopefully, until the next time I go. But it is actually the day. But I love sour candy. As a kid, I loved Shockers.
Oh, yeah.
But they got rid of Shockers, and
R.I.P.
now it's Sweet Tart Sours, I think, and they're not the same. They're not the same.
And they
They're
try
not
to
sour.
do like the chewies, the sweet tart chewy
Yeah.
things. Yeah, they're not.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Candy was way better when we were kids.
No.
I love candy. Love me some candy.
No. I'm a big like sour over chocolate or like sweet over chocolate. Like I usually will get one of those over getting chocolate. So I'm glad it was a non-chocolate answer because if you said chocolate, I would have been sitting here for a while.
I mean, I like chocolate, but I'd rather have chocolate like in things, like a chocolate cake or like a cheesecake, dude. When you get like some chocolate cheesecake, I don't know. I'm a big fan of that. But I'd rather you have sour candy over anything.
For sure.
Man, that was. Now I just really want some sour candy. We need to. If we do these, we need. I'm gonna start bringing the whatever snack of the day, so that we don't just sit here starving.
Yeah. We're also not sponsored yet, but I would love to be sponsored. Like if we could be sponsored by anything, sour candy.
Yeah, sour candy. Hey, if you're a small company somehow listening to this and you are a candy manufacturer, let us know. We'll promote it.
We'll promote it.
I will knock on doors for you. I will do whatever necessary. But hey, that's all fun. Every episode we want to do like a little segment on the workshop. We want to really kind of work together and build together. And so the title of this episode is the instruction manual. Okay, or we can say blueprints, just kind of on the building aspect. Today's really big talking point is the instruction manual or blueprints. And the reason I chose this for the workshop, because I think it's funny. We're both guys, and they always say, men don't need instructions.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and toss those out. And
that's the best part, honestly. It's
not using, not building. But as a kid, right, I was super into Legos.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't really build a Lego set without the instructions, right?
You can try.
You probably won't be able to do it. And I think it's funny, just as a kid, you hear your dad saying, I don't need those instructions. And you kind of watch them struggle. And about 10 minutes later, they go through the trash and grab that instruction manual.
Yeah.
And I think it's really funny and kind of ironic. But the reason I think we should talk about that today in our workshop is, let's say we're creating an instruction manual, again, or writing the blueprints for our workshop. We're building, so we're building this physical workshop. That's actually not physical, but what do you add to the manual, or what is your manual to start building this workshop?
I think the first thing that came to my mind is just structure, because like I know it's like a generic answer, but like structuring out what you're going to be doing, having a game plan, having an idea helps me organize. It helps me understand. So especially when you brought up the example of Legos, that was every single Christmas morning in the early 2000s. Like we would build. I built so many different Lego contraptions. I remember my favorite one was the Titanic.
Oh wow! Okay.
It was about 30 feet long.
Holy cow!
All right, this massive project, right? And that we just built, and it was. I don't even know how many. There were so many Lego pieces.
That's insane.
And like I said, it was like 30 feet long, and it was insane. And we, I remember thinking about it, and we tried to do it, like you said, without the manuals, without understanding really what was going on, and that thing was impossible. We got stuff that kind of looked together, but it was not good at all. It was terrible. And so what I've learned from that and growing from that, I mean, I was like 6, but like learning from those experiences is that, having a game plan, setting up whatever you're going to go through, and really just organizing it well.
Right.
I also love to do puzzles.
Okay.
So when I do puzzles, I have to I first flip over every single one. As soon as it gets out of the box, so every single, it's facing the same way, or facing at least upright.
Right.
And then I separate it into insides and outsides. So anything that has like a separate, and then I separate it by color. So then I put out the 4 corners, and then I put out every color that's similar.
Right.
I'll put them in the same box.
Okay.
And then I can just solve that puzzle super fast, because then I have, all the colors, or I have all the pieces kind of in a generic way so that I can put it. So it's more structured, it's more organized, and that way I can achieve more through it.
Mm.
Versus just like picking up a piece and being like, oh, does this one fit with um, this piece? And then no, and then trying it out over and over. That could work, yes, but that's going to take longer. It's going to be more difficult.
Right.
And so, um, yeah, I think just having a structure and having a game plan kind of just fits this really well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that kind of reminds me. It's all the same thing, but I think it's similar. In college, you show up on the first day, syllabus day, and they say, "Hey, go buy this textbook or buy this textbook."
Yeah.
That is what you're saying. That's that structure you're building, and you follow this manual, so to speak, and you'll be successful by the end of the class. Well, for me, I showed up to the bookstore and this book is $300 used, and I wasn't gonna buy it. I was yeah, right, I'm not gonna buy that. So I would go throughout the class and be completely lost, try to figure out on my own, how to do this accounting problem or how, whatever it was. I tried to figure it out on my own, but there was no way I was going to do it because I didn't have that, instructions like you said, and I think that's I probably was my demise in college, but hey, I graduated, I got a full-time job, and there's people with better grades than me that are still looking for jobs,
Yeah.
So it's just really funny. So you said structure, that was kind of what you wanted to add to it. And I guess I'll build off of that, and I'll say foundation, right?
Yeah.
Last week talked about mixing the concrete, so continuing with that one, building, every good building needs a foundation, and we see that in every story or piece of writing, and then we see it kind of in our own lives. Yeah, you can have structure, and that's really important. But if you don't have a great foundation, your building's going to fall over, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's not technically mathematically true, but for this example, we're going to say that's extremely true. If you don't have a good foundation, I think that's a really big part about our workshop. Is we tried to do, which we wanted to put this blog up, right? And that was going to start pushing out content, kind of building that foundation of, one, proving we're unqualified, but secondly, it's provoking thought with the viewer or the reader, whatever it is, provoking that thought and starting to really create this workshop, not on our own, but with a bunch of other people. And so I want to know, and you can ask me back about the foundation, but on structure. And outside of this workshop, say you're in your own workshop on your own, what is the structure in your life that is creating your workshop day to day? Where do you learn? How do you build that? What instruction manual do you follow to start putting together and framing out your structure?
Yeah. I mean, easily mine's the Bible, but I follow after Jesus. I'm devoted to him, but so I would definitely say the Bible would be my structure. What I want to live by, what I want to go by. It's something that I definitely, that's my instruction manual. I try to figure out everything I can. It's not necessarily religion. It's not necessarily like what the church says about it, or it's
tradition, rules and stuff like that.
It's more about my relationship with Jesus and how I can, how I feel basically based off of what I've learned from reading the Bible, or what I've learned from my instruction manual. It's not like someone else could look at my instruction manual, could look at the Bible, and they could see something different. They could get a different message from it. But
that brings back perspective, like you talked about. You all talk about it quite a bit. Yeah.
And so I try to understand as much as I can about it. Obviously, knowing that I'm not qualified to have my own opinions about it or to have theological approaches on it, but I try my hardest to just understand a text fully before I really just commit it to who I am.
Right.
And so that's again my structure comes from my relationship with Jesus. And so I know that's a weird one, but I think that's really it. What about your foundation? How do you
No, I mean, I would say very similarly to you. The Bible has been the Bible, and then of course, the relationship with Jesus has been great in setting up, forming out my foundation. Putting the rebar, and that has been great. But I think and again, this is a different perspective maybe from you. What I learned, or what I am learning through studying the Bible, is to live by that, but also I've been taking outside sources, and then formulating my own opinions, and mixing my own different materials for the foundation through that. And so I reading what I would say secular books on leadership and development and growth, and taking some really good stuff from that, and then the great stuff that I read, in Scripture, and the leadership values from probably the best leader that's ever walked the world, spoiler alert, Jesus. Taking all of those and mashing it together, listening to other podcasts, and even watching TV. I probably can't name it right now, but I've taken things from The Office, which is my favorite show, and applied it, to my life. So, like, for instance, how Michael Scott runs his office. People watch The Office. I think you've said this before. He's really cringy. It's really cringy to watch, but he's also a really great manager. He really cares for the people in the office. He sees them as family. And I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I really respect that kind of leadership style.
Yeah.
Because he truly is he's a really great leader and motivator, and his the way he does it may not be the way everyone else does it, but it worked for him. And I know it's a fictitious show, but you can really learn a lot from watching that, and how to interact with people, and not every interaction needs to be how everyone else does it, because some ways work and some ways don't.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a few ways that I'm always trying to build my foundation. And a lot of the times there's cracks. I don't know everything, and I will never claim to know everything. Sometimes the foundation cracks, and I gotta fill it, or we gotta break it down and rebuild. And that's from continuous learning. If someone just goes through life and all they learn, or all they have learning, is from college, or is from like a past period, and they're not wanting to continuously learn, their foundation may crack. It may be brittle. It may not be the foundation they want. And so I think that's can be pretty important, kind of on this topic.
Or even like you were saying with the foundation, like sometimes when they just dig from their past experience, sometimes it's not rooted deep enough.
Yeah.
And so when you try to build on top of it, when you learn that in architecture, the higher you want to go, the deeper you have to dig, so that you're stable, and that you're not, you don't build high enough where you tip over. And so
that's cool. That's really good.
Once you just take a little bit, you have to really like dig deeper as you learn more about yourself. As soon as you want to build up, you also have to dig deeper. And so that's no, I think that's really good. And what you're talking about just with your foundation, that's exactly what I would say with the Bible. Like, the Bible is amazing, and it should be like the core, but like, wisdom is taking in more, like counsel is taking in different things, and seeing how it can apply to your life. And so basically, like, it's not just this opportunity to be like, oh, like, it's not knowledge. Knowledge is knowing things. It's acquiring this like wealth of information, versus wisdom is applying it. And so
that's good.
It's like, how can this apply to my life? And I think what you just said about collecting information and applying it directly into your life, and even secular things, I think apply. Like, for me, music speaks deeply to my life, and so I love music. That's where I feel like I have the most actually interactions with God, whether I'm listening to worship music or whether I'm listening to secular music. Sometimes even just like a phrase or a word will come out of like a secular song that may not be necessarily about a good topic. That phrasing comes in and it speaks directly to my heart. It's like, oh, this is, man, I needed to hear that today.
Yeah,
and
I get that. That's awesome.
And so, like, no, I definitely agree.
Right, and again, I feel like from what you're saying, and you preach this constantly, it's all about perspective, right? Because I remember specifically as a kid, there was a lot of music I wasn't allowed to listen to, And because in their perspective, and I remember my parents saying this a lot, was that, I would hear those influences and it would influence my life. And in a way to kind of like make this a full circle, I try to build my foundation strong enough that there's going to be no outside influences, negative outside influences that are going to be able to break it.
Yeah.
And so I feel comfortable at the age I am now. I can listen to all types of music and understand that that's not going to impact me in a negative way. And I think that can be a really good teacher is music, because it's someone's story, right? You're hearing someone's story and how they see life, and their intentions of what they're saying may not be your intentions of what you're hearing,
Yeah.
And so I think that is such a strong view, because not everyone can do that,
Yeah. And so, like you said, their story, they have something they wanted to say, and it's like,
right.
how are you taking it? And what you said about just like having that foundation strong enough where nothing can break it. That's the whole point of building it based off this instruction manual. That's the whole point of having the right blueprints, having the right structure, is that when negative things come, when the storm comes, you're not able to break.
Mm-hmm.
And if your foundation breaks, then it's because it wasn't strong enough that you didn't build it on something. If something like a musical song comes and breaks your whole faith,
mm-hmm.
it probably means that you didn't have it strong enough, and that's just the truth. Like,
definitely.
They talk about in the Bible. They talk about building on sand versus building on a rock versus building on sand. Is when mm-hmm. the storm comes. If it's built on sand, it's just gonna wash away into the sea. But if it's built on the solid rock, then it's not gonna tumble, or it's not gonna fall. And so that's good. Foundation and structure is just a key concept to think about.
Right, and I think we can definitely continue to build this, and this might be a multiple part thing, and it's kind of got me thinking. Have you ever seen those books like Building for Dummies or Plumbing for Dummies? That's definitely the instruction manual we're writing, because we're definitely dummies, But this is really cool. Just to kind of summarize what we're talking about. We're talking about what are we going to put in our instruction manual to build this workshop. I talked about foundation, that big old concrete pour we're gonna have to set what Matt talked about, structure of this building and community that we are trying to build together. And Matt's whole thing about structure was that wanting to build it strong, and that is highlighted but by what I feel about building a really strong foundation. And so having a strong foundation, a strong structure, is going to just multiply what we can do with the building. We can build a really big roof with a really strong structure. We can build a lot of different rooms with a really strong structure. And so, I think this was a really good segment in a learning phase. Just for us, just kind of speaking these words out. And so. I feel like that's a great little segment and about setting foundation and structure. And I think we can just continue to still talk about this maybe in some next episodes, or maybe put up a blog about it.
In the comment sections, if you guys have any questions.
Have any questions or anything to add? You want to add something to building? That's what this is about. But I think it's about time we jump into a crazy theory.
Oh, I'm excited.
And I know this episode, this theory will expand on kind of this spirituality we're kind of bringing into this episode. And we are practicing Christians. We believe that we're going to live and die by the name of Jesus. And if that's not you, completely okay. But what my crazy theory today is, I think everyone should go to church. I think absolutely everyone should go to church. And let me tell you why. There's a few different reasons. The first reason is kind of what Matt talked about, is structure, right? You live your life Monday through Friday. If you have a 8 to 5 job, you live every day on someone else's time. You get to go to work. They tell you when to work. They tell you when to go to lunch. You do a bunch of crazy different things every single day. Stressful, not stressful. It's all busy work, right? And it's just this thing to get you to 5 so you can go home to your family. do whatever you would like to do, get a paycheck. And while all of that's great and that's some sort of structure, church is really important too, because it's like 1 hour a week that's always going to be the same. And a lot of the times it's going to be uplifting, a positive experience. You're going to get a lot of the times, free coffee, maybe some snacks. At our church, you get sweet tea, cookies. And it's what I would say is the 1 hour a week where I get to just turn my brain off. And I just get to consume information, whether I like it or not. It's just positive to me, and it can be uplifting, but it can also be challenging, and that depends on where you're at in your life, and for us, where you're at in our walk. But I think it is very important, and I came up with this in college, because in college nothing is structured. Yeah, you have class times, but you have this intense workload of extracurricular activities you have to do. For me, it was school, fraternity, and my part-time job.
Yeah.
And I had to be all these different places at all these different times. And the only consistent thing in my week was, yes, my classes, but also church. Because I knew Sunday mornings at 10, I knew where I was going to be. I knew who was going to be there. And I knew that it wasn't going to be difficult. I didn't have to bring anything extra. I just had to show up. And I think there's not a lot of things in our lives, events in our lives like that, especially consistently every single week. Mm. And so why I think this is crazy and radical is because people, one, don't believe in God, or people think church people are fake. But how do you know that if you don't go to church every week? You can think that they're fake, but you're not even in church. Sunday morning, you're waking up at noon, eating microwavable pancakes, while there's some really great people attending church, getting a positive experience, turning their brain off, getting some free snacks, and I think church is great. Yes, there's some bad apples, but there's bad apples in everything. Yeah. Sports, work, your neighbors. There's some bad people, but it doesn't mean that all of your neighbors or all of athletes or all of your coworkers are bad people, And so that's why I think this is a little bit crazy. Maybe you have some thoughts or want to add.
Yeah, I definitely think that I think everybody should go to church. I'm a whole for it. Not even, it doesn't matter what you believe, what you go through. I think that every single person should go to church because, one, you said it was consistent. Mm-hmm. Church is pretty much the same every single week. I know every single week that, man, I'm going to be there Saturday at 4, and I know I'm going to be there Sunday at 10 and 11:30. I know that, like you said, that's my weekend. There's not anything that I want to do that's going to miss that. Sure, I go to church on Saturday and Sunday, and, I'm not saying go to church 3 times
right,
but I love it. I think that, one, it's consistent. It's the only thing in my schedule. I DoorDash, I mow lawns, I'm a substitute teacher. None of those things are a consistent basis. It's no day looks the exact same to me.
Right.
Except for my weekends, my Saturdays and Sundays. Those are the only days that are consistent. And I think that people crave consistency. People crave this idea of wanting something that's the same. And if that's you, church is 100% the best option.
Oh, yeah.
2, community. It's the best form of community. Honestly, it's like Bradley was saying. It's the one place where I feel like I can just take off my mask, not the ones we have to wear because of COVID right now.
Yeah.
But it's the one place where I don't feel like I have to.
Yeah, you shouldn't be taking off your mask.
Yeah.
Physically, but metaphorically, I'm following. Yeah. We're good.
It's the one place where I feel like I can actually just come and just be me. I don't have to put on a front. I don't have to be fake. I can just take off my mask and say, hey, this is me. This is where I get to come and just have community. I have tons of people, like you said, that are just surrounding me, that are having that same positive experience, having that same. And I recognize I've seen so many people who have been hurt by a specific church or have been hurt by church people or the American church right now is in a weird place where there's so many people who feel like the messages of hate,
Mm-hmm.
and I like I bring it back to just the core message of Jesus, and
Mm-hmm.
just like I feel like anybody who actually hears the message of Jesus, like
Yeah.
unbiased. Jesus was a real person. He was a historical figure.
Right.
And just hearing what he came to do, his message, his leadership, how could you not want something like that?
Right.
No matter what the American church, I get it when it comes to being hurt by the church, or when it comes to being hurt by church people. I went to a Christian school, and not everyone there was perfect.
Right.
And that shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
I figured, there was going to be a lot more people who loved Jesus, and there was a lot of people who liked Jesus, but there wasn't a lot of people who loved and followed after him. And,
right.
There was quite a few. I did meet a bunch, so I'm not saying that if you're listening and you're not, but I think that a big thing is when you hear the message of Jesus, it just is this positive thing. And the last thing is, it's honestly challenging. They try to leave every single message with an application, with something that's going to challenge you, something that's going to bring about a change in your life, and it's going to realistically spark something in you.
Right.
Regardless of if you believe in the message or not, they want to leave you with a challenge, with something that you can think about for the rest of the week. Even if you're just a Sunday Christian, even if you're just a Sunday, you go to church and that's the only time you hear about Jesus, you're going to have something that's going to challenge you throughout the rest of the week.
Right.
And so, those are the three things I think about when it comes to everybody going to church.
Yeah. If you're someone who doesn't have a ton of friends, and that's okay, church is a great place to make friends, because there are genuinely good people there. And so I think that, not every episode like this is going to sound preachy like we are, but listen, this is something that's in our tool belt. We talk about this workshop. We use these metaphors of tools and resources. This is one of our tools, right? And so we're going to talk about it. Yeah. And if it's not one of your tools, that's great. That's fine. And we want to kind of challenge you to use your tools and what you have to work in your workshop, and then come to ours and help us benefit from you. And so, yeah.
And we talk about a lot too, it's just perspective. Even if your perspective isn't necessarily Christian, that's not a bad thing.
Right.
We're not trying to be if you're not Christian, we don't want to hear about it. I love learning about new religions. I love learning about new people and their stories, and honestly, I love hearing about their sides of the church. And so, it may not, like we were talking about earlier, our foundation is strong, where it may not shake our beliefs, it might not shake our faith, but it's definitely going to add to us. It's going to add value to what we have to talk about and what you have to talk about. So, we're coming out in a place where we just really want, again, just more perspective. We want to hear your perspective.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. Man, that's cool. I'm always gonna bring a crazy theory every week, because I have a ton of them, and this one just really hits home for me, because in college I saw a lot of people who started going to church at the beginning of the year. Second week was a little bit less. Third week a little bit more or less, and then it just kept going down and down and down. And so I think that it attributes to how you act outside of church attributes to you going every single week. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I like to drink. I'll admit it. I'm of age, so I like to drink. And if I had drank Saturday night and I show up Sunday morning, I may feel a little bit extra bad. Not because drinking is bad. It's because I was being an idiot. And Sunday morning reminded me, hey, stop being an idiot. And it's not because of what any one person said. It just reminded me, hey, you need to have your head screwed on right. And if you want to be the person you say you do, act like it. And so, not to just continue to beat this dead horse, but I just think I think it's really important. If you don't, that's fine, but find that consistency in your life. I think that's what we kind of take away from this.
Yeah.
Find that 1 hour a week, like we have, to listen to an intellectual person speak, open up your heart, meet new people, stuff like that,
Yeah.
And for us, that's church. For you, I just say find it. I want to give you an outlet, but find it. But hey, it's time for my favorite segment.
Yeah, Bamboozled.
Bamboozled, right? Every week I bring some crazy questions that rest on Google that don't necessarily have an answer, but I'm gonna make you find one.
All right, perfect.
So this first question is particularly fun. How do you handcuff someone with one arm as a police officer? They have one arm. How do you handcuff them?
I'm not a police officer, so you know, I would have never had to think. I don't have training for this. I'm unqualified to answer this question. I personally, I'd either lock it to a leg, or I would lock it to another police officer, and that way you have at least, hey, you have to stay here.
Yeah. I don't know the statistics on this, but would it be crazy to say that if you have one arm, you're probably never going to get arrested?
Probably. I think you have a better chance.
Yeah, you have a better chance to not get arrested because they, one, may feel sorry for you, and two, I think if you only have one arm, you're probably just like a good person.
Yeah.
Because if you have two arms,
it kind of humbles you.
Yeah. If you have two arms, you're a little bit egotistical.
Yeah.
And think you're on top of the world, right?
Yeah.
If you have one arm, you're just probably mad at everybody that has two arms, or you just kind of sit at home and don't really do anything because you only have one arm.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of mean, but
I could see it.
If I had one arm, I'd probably never go out because kids are mean.
Kids are mean.
Kids are mean. They point and laugh. I've seen it happen at Walmart. A guy with one arm, and this young lady said, "Mommy, why does he have one arm?" And I felt bad. I wanted to say, it's going to happen to you if you don't go to school or,
you don't eat your vegetables.
I might scare, yeah. Okay, so you say handcuffed to his leg. That sounds horrible, but I like that answer. Okay, this is another police question, and I know you're super qualified for this answer. If a mute person gets arrested, do you still have to tell them they have the right to remain silent?
Yeah, you do. You have to say your Miranda rights.
Even if they can't speak?
Even if they can't speak. Even if they're not allowed to speak. I know that one. You have to use your Miranda rights, even if that person can't speak, or he can use it like he can actually like get acquitted or get like out of jail, because if they don't use it, then like they literally can get off for being arrested. So every single police officer, if he doesn't give you, if you're getting arrested and he doesn't give you Miranda rights, you actually have a legal case to get off.
What if they're deaf? They can't even hear it.
They can't. The police. It's not the job of the police officer to know whether or not that person can respond or to hear it. They have to say it regardless.
I think you watch too much Live PD.
I do watch a lot of Live PD, but I do have a friend who's a cop, and he's told me some of this.
It's super. I mean, I thought that was crazy, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. This next one. So, say you're a jet fighter, right?
Yeah.
You have headphones in. If you reach the speed of sound, can you still hear the music playing in your ears?
I think, again, I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but I think the laws of physics, it still kind of applies, much like you would in like a vehicle. If obviously vehicles can't drive the speed of sound, but like if you were to still move in that scenario, you're still moving with the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So, but inside of that vehicle, you have your own like level of like. I know it's not. I think it's inertia maybe, but it's not. I'm not qualified to preach this physics lesson.
You failed out of science in college.
I did fail my physics class, but to be fair, 75% of that class failed. So I think that's a teacher problem and not a student problem.
But how often did you go? I just want to for on the record.
On the record, the first I went every single day for the first test. I got a 37 on my physics test, which was the top 3% of people.
Oh wow! Okay.
Got below a 40, so or 97%. Sorry, got below a 40% on the first test, and he said that's normal. And I was a terrible student when I first went to Oklahoma State, and so I didn't go after that. After that, he didn't take attendance. I did what Bradley did, and I didn't buy my physics book until way later, and by that time I was already way behind. And so
that's fair.
To answer the question, you would still be able to hear it.
That's like, okay, so this is kind of another bamboozled question, but it's not a question, it's kind of a statement. Because if you're standing on top of a train and you jump, you will land in a different spot. But if you're inside a train and you jump, you land in the same spot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah. So, because you're inside the vehicle as it's moving, you move with the vehicle. But if you are outside the vehicle, outside of its initial plane, then you'll jump up and you'll move.
No, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So, four questions, we have 2 left, right?
Perfect.
So, if you're walking the streets of heaven and God sneezes, what do you say?
Well, I think you would still say, like, bless you. I think you would still say it because
you know it says God bless you.
Yeah.
You're going to bless God?
See, or you would just change it to bless you because, like, you bless you, you know? Because if you technically when you're saying, say God bless you is, like, God blessing you versus just like, this is, again, an unqualified grammar lesson, but if you just say bless you, it's then putting it as, like, in the second perspective and saying, like, you bless you. So, like, hey, you bless you, God.
Yeah, you bless you, bro. Yeah. Do you actually know the science behind saying bless you?
I don't.
You know when you sneeze, your heart stops for a fraction of a second? Yeah. So that's what you say, God bless you. Like, oh, I hope you don't die.
Yeah.
And so God probably doesn't have a physical heart. So you really wouldn't even have to say bless you. Because you probably wouldn't sneeze either, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point. Last one, Matt. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This one's good. If a cat jumps on a dog, if a bunch of cats jump on a dog, is it still called a dog pile?
Oh, man. I feel like I've had an answer to every single one of them so far that makes logical sense, at least in my head. But this one, I would call it a cat pile because it wouldn't. Dog pile is technically the term for it.
Yeah.
But I would just change it to cat pile because it makes more sense in my head.
Yeah, it does make more sense. But it ruins the dog pile.
But it ruins the dog pile. It does.
No, I like it. That doesn't make logical sense, but for the sake of you finding an answer for everything, I guess we'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that's all I got. That's I think that about wraps up this episode. Yeah.
So we're progressively getting longer each podcast. And
we're getting better, I think.
I think they're getting better.
Yeah.
For the 2 people who watched it
last week,
hey,
it's probably us too.
It's us too.
But hey, if you didn't watch it, you're watching this one. You made it this far through this one. Go back and check out episode 2. And if you're feeling frisky, watch the first one as well. Man, we appreciate you watching. Again, if you made it this far, appreciate you listening, watching, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube.
We're on Facebook, Instagram. We have a bunch of different platforms. Check out our blog. We spend a lot of time just sharing our ideas, and so we love it. We love sharing this opportunity with you guys. Yeah.
Man, but that's it for us today. Hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching. Now let's get building.